back of a second. It's like the page 2 of something. You know what I mean? Just go to the very end and then flip it up. Yep, you got it. So St. Thomas Aquinas, now that the people have been prepared, so what's happened? The gospel, we didn't talk about the homily because it's not really a mass part. Then, because see, you don't have to do a homily, right? It's not a mass part. It's the gospel, then the creed. Those are the mass parts. You know, it says that a homily is preferred or it should be given. I can't remember how the sacramentary words it. Sometimes it says, like on one of those long days where we see the whole creed, or we do the whole passion, like from John's Gospel, we do it on, we do it on Holy Thursday. What is it? We do it on Palm Sunday, we do John, and the week before we do it from Matthew, Mark, or Luke. We do the Passion, and then Palm Sunday, we do it always from John's Gospel, so his Passion. Where's it going with this? Then it says, after this long narrative where you've done the whole Gospel, and remember, the Gospel for Palm Sunday, it happened at the beginning of the Mass, outside of the sanctuary, back at the front doors of the church. It's the Passion narrative. It's not the gospel on Palm Sunday. It's just a narrative. It's called the narrative. And that's why you can have people be Pontius Pilate or the people, crucify, crucify, right? Or the narrator. It's like an acting. It's an acting out of the gospel or the Passion. But that's not the gospel. The gospel happened at the beginning of the Mass at the back of the church. So it's a screwed up Mass, isn't it? It's really different. There's 5 Masses where you start at the back of the church. Because that's the number of wounds of Christ, right? That's one of them. Where were we? So it says in there, after this long narrative, a homily may or may not be given depending on the perception of the priest or the people. I can't remember how they worded it. Like you know how nowadays they're like, everybody's wimpy. Oh, make the announcement, Father, that if people are too tired, they can sit down during the narrative, right? So, the priest's supposed to be assessing, if you made them stand, you're a mean priest, you made them stand for the whole thing, and they're getting ready to keel over, then you should have a homily, because then during the homily they get to sit down, and they're not going to listen to you anyway, so you should keep it short. But that's what they say in the thing, that you have to gauge the people, see if they can take a homily or not. But it's really weird how they put it. but it's not necessary. You don't have to give a homily. Okay, here it is. So this offertory chant.
But the homily educates us, I think. To me, it's always like, well, what Father just say? Exactly. If somebody didn't talk to you about the Sumerians and between how they treated the Jews, and you'd be reading it like a fairy tale. So to me, the homily is always an education and telling me, what did I just read? It fills in the backstory of what you just read. Yeah. And we don't normally have that education, only the priest does. So that's why to teach us, that's why the homily is so important.
Spoken like a true zealot.
Yeah, I think it's
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
So here, now that the people have prepared and instructed, the reading, the gospel, the homily, the celebration of the mystery begins. Look at that. The celebration of the mystery begins, and the mystery is offered. So the mystery, we still don't understand why God would do this. Why would he give up his son to save us? Right? That's what's a mystery about the Mass. That we're going to go into the mystery now of the passion, death, resurrection, ascension, and glory of Jesus Christ. The Paschal mystery is what the second part of the Mass is, that liturgy of the Eucharist. It's the Paschal mystery played out. Why is it a mystery? Because we can't understand why God would do this. And it's like God said, if I didn't do it 2,000 years ago, I would do it the Sunday of November 24th, 2024. I haven't changed my mind. I would still do the exact same thing to save you. I would send my son to die. And so what we're saying is the mystery is offered as a sacrifice and consecrated and received. This is interesting. St. Thomas. The mystery is offered as a sacrifice. It's the sacrifice of Christ. He sacrificed his life for ours. And consecrated. That life of Christ, the body and blood, it's in the consecration of the Eucharist. It's transferred from the personhood of Christ, being raised by Joseph and Mary, picking the 12, working the miracles, celebrating the Last Supper. That life of Christ is transferred into the bread and wine in the consecration, and then it's received as a sacrament. So it's the life of Christ, the new life of Christ that we're receiving. It's his old life, it's his new life in the Eucharist, and it's this future life of Christ that he's going to live out from within us as we go through life for this next week. It never happened before that an auditor came to audit our books for the year 2024 and 2023. That was the first time that somebody came from the diocese to audit our books for those 2 years. That happened just today. So somebody experienced, like the nails on a blackboard, the fun that you have of being audited. But that's the new life of Christ. It never happened before. It's something new.
Nancy rolled the shades down and locked the door.
Yeah, she had all this preparation, so all the work that she did on Friday and Monday, just to get ready for this guy to come. So first comes an oblation, and then the consecration is what has been offered, and then the reception of this in the communion. So, okay, this oblation consists in two things. The people's praise and the offertory chant, which expresses the joy of those who offer, and the prayer of the priest who asks that the people's oblation be accepted by God. So what's this oblation? You're bringing these gifts forward of bread and wine. Is it just bread and wine? No, of course it's not. It's a symbol of your life. When you come to Mass, you're going to offer your life to God. And you want God to bless your life. That's why you came to Mass. My life stinks, and so I want God to bless it to make it better. Or I've experienced this great joy, and I'm happy, and I want God to be a part of my happiness. I want to share that happiness with God because I know who gave me that happiness. It was God. And I experienced the sorrow in a funeral Mass, and so I still bring the bread and the wine forward as a gift, and I offer that, and I'm asking God to comfort me in my sorrow, be a part of this difficult time in my life, and take this person that I love that's passed to the right hand of your Father like you're seated. So the people, they offer this oblation to God, whatever it is, whatever aspect of their life that they're giving to God, and they're asking for God to bless it and make it holy. And that's the offertory chant. So what's the offertory chant? It's different now. But it is when the people bring up the gifts. It's the offertory. And it would be the song that the choir would sing, or the people, as those gifts are processing forward. Now what's happened is we're tripping over ourselves. And so, before we used to have Monsignor's bringing this, Monsignor Jellic, he always gets, he always has the people bring up the gifts from the back of the church, bring up bread and wine, and then he meets them at the foot of the altar and then brings them into the sanctuary. That's the people's offertory, their oblation that they're offering to God. It's their life. They're in the symbol of just the bread and the wine, something simple. So he always has them bringing it forward. We just, before the pandemic, we used to do that. But, in West Brooklyn, it was always John and Joan Schmidt bringing up the thing every week. because they were the only ones that were mobile, that were going to Mass in West Brooklyn. So they were the only ones who could walk in procession. So, you know, here's the funny thing, you know, let me stop this thing for a second.